When it comes to one's consciousness, a man has to motivate himself. A man must force himself. If a friend says to him, let's go for a run tomorrow, he'll say, sure, but won't go running in the morning. And the one who suggested he won't go either. But if a man, for example, says, I'll go for a run tomorrow, and you won't be able to, he will say, why won't I be able to? He'll say, because you're lazy and I'm not. Then both will go for the run. Men need a challenge, you understand? Women need to gently encourage each other. It's better for everyone to have someone who can help. But a man can do it himself if he's used to it. Now, a woman, she gets inspired, then fades. She gets inspired, then fades. Her willpower isn't stable in her psyche, you understand? That's why she needs girlfriends who will help her get inspired. Otherwise, she won't be able to go for a run herself, do exercises, or even pray.
There is female communication, but to be inspired, no, lecturer. You yourself should start inspiring women, for example. Call someone and say, let's get up earlier tomorrow.
If she says, let's do it, you won't be able to stay in bed because you will feel uncomfortable.
So I inspired her, but now I don't want to get up myself. I had that happen when I inspired someone, and then I didn't want to do it myself.
No, you just, for example, don't want to get up early the next day. You call a girlfriend and say, let's get up earlier tomorrow, and she says, let's, and you won't be able not to get up because you'll be embarrassed. Don't rely on yourself, don't rely on your inner strength. Rely on the strength of close girlfriends. You see, there's a difference. You say, I still don't want to. Why would I call if I don't want to get up? You see, if you don't want to get up, it's easier for you to make a phone call instead of getting up yourself. But if you make the call, then you'll get up on your own. That's how a woman should do it. For example, my wife, if she needs to accompany me somewhere, she'll get up even at 1 in the morning. But if it's about doing some exercise, she won't get up early in the morning. She won't get up for her own benefit. However, if her friend invites her somewhere, she'll do it. That's how all women are, the same way. Study your own psyche. What, is everything clear?
Lecturer, what? Not clear. I don't understand how to build close relationships. Relationships come and go.
Ladies, who wants to do exercise together, socialize and be friends with her? Who wants to on this basis? Look back. The girl, the woman behind you, sitting next to you, she wants it too. That's it. Get to know each other. Approach, introduce yourselves and inspire each other. On your own, you won't be able to do anything. You need to inspire each other. Have such close communication. That's it. There are no other options for a woman. Today, you feel inspired, but tomorrow, you may not. Everything happens in cycles. There's no stability.
I think I should revive the bloggist club we had for girls. I would like to bring all of this back.
Revive it, I bless you. Creating the Blogost Club for girls. In this club, everything will work out for you.
Girls will inspire you and you will inspire them. The right mindset. Thank you.
You see, she missed me, just wanted to have a chat with me. No specific questions, really. She just wanted to talk to me. Moving on. There's a woman in the back.
Good evening, Oleg Genadievich. Thank you for coming to us. I have one question. I really need your advice. It's about my relationship with a man. Lecturer, the word man is not quite right. It should be husband, that's correct. Not a husband yet. Lecturer, do you live together? No, lecturer. Ah, you don't live together, just seeing each other. I met a young man, and we're currently seeing each other. I've tried to break up, but situations arise. Lecturer, is he not proposing marriage to you? Well, not yet. He's in his home country. For now it's like this, lecturer. Maybe you could move there to be with him, hasn't he invited you? I don't know. His friend mentioned that he plans to come to Moscow for work. I don't know, I've tried to break up with him, but such situations arise. Lecturer, but does he want to live with you? Is he insisting what's happening or not? Not yet.
You see, it's all very simple, ladies. It's all simple, but you'll have to make an effort to make it simple in practice. You see, in this world, everything follows certain patterns, and you need knowledge to make everything right. From a relationship standpoint, knowledge is as follows. A man must fall in love and pursue a woman. She must set conditions. She must test him. And if all of this is happening, then it's all done correctly. Now, the second scenario, a woman falls in love, and the man allows her to communicate with him. This scenario leads to intimacy. The second scenario, a woman falls in love, the man allows it but doesn't marry. The first scenario leads to a family when a man falls in love and a woman allows communication. Therefore, it's important for a woman not to fall in love, but to wait and see how a person behaves, observe, not to fall in love. She spoiled everything by falling in love too soon, because once she falls in love, it means he's no longer interested. Love has a selfish nature between people. That's why a woman should always act in a way that makes him fall for her. That's why a woman is beautiful and attractive. God designed it this way so that everything works like this. A woman attracts attention to herself. A man should fall in love. A woman should watch him, test him, evaluate. But if he doesn't seem to get it,
Then what are you hoping for? That's exactly what I was planning to do.
well then it's time to end it with him.
If he calls you, say, either you make a decision about our relationship, or let's end it. That's it, period. I heard you, lecturer. Well, of course, otherwise it will go on endlessly.
You see, you're getting older. He's getting younger. He might even marry someone 20 years younger. You understand? You're not on equal footing. The older you get, the fewer chances you have. You are waiting for him. His chances are increasing and yours are decreasing. A man matures, becomes stronger, wiser, and more interesting. And as he ages, he becomes more appealing to women. Whereas a woman, as she ages, may become less interesting. So, don't wait for anyone. You should observe what a person wants.
Doesn't want to get married? Next one, thank you so much.
Otherwise, you won't get anything at all. If I speak from my perspective, I see it like this. If you don't set conditions now, then there will be absolutely no chances later on, plain and simple. Right now, if he has any attachment, the longer you keep waiting, the worse the situation will become. Right now, if there's any chance, if you set a condition, he'll still be genuinely interested in you, then in half a year, that chance won't exist anymore. And if you had done it a year ago, the probability of everything working out would have been 100 times greater. These are your problems, meaning improper behavior. You shouldn't let a man use you. You shouldn't jump into bed with him without a relationship, without guarantees. You make mistakes, then deal with the consequences. A man indulges in sex and immediately cools off towards a woman. He becomes less interested. A woman becomes attached, while a man cools off after intimate relationships. A woman starts to expect something, but he's no longer interested. He has achieved his goal. That's why in ancient culture, there was a rule: not to allow, not to get too close, not to give opportunities. This way a man starts taking things more seriously, respecting a woman, treating her seriously. Learn the proper behavior. And if someone thinks I made all this up, then let them experiment. You can do it differently. See how it goes. Everyone will experiment with their own destiny. In other words, choose to listen to the elders or live through experiments in your own destiny. Try both ways if you don't trust me. But if you do, then do it the right way. Any more questions? There's a lady in the back. Question. Good evening, Oleg Gennadievich. I'm very glad to see you. Likewise. Brat's question. I've been married for 15 years and we haven't had any children during these 15 years. We don't know what to do anymore. How old are you now? 36. You need to undergo treatment with us. We have a method of treatment using seeds. We place seeds in the ears. I will tell you about this method. It's a very potent method. There's a high probability of conception if you follow what I will advise you to do as part of the treatment. I'll be talking about this today in the lecture, discussing both female and male infertility. If you do everything I mentioned during the lecture and also use these seeds, the probability of having children is very high indeed. Do I need to do it alone or does my husband need to do it too? Show me a photo of your husband. What's his name? Vitaly? Most likely he has overheated semen. He should also use the seeds and follow what I'll advise. All right, thank you very much. Speaking of modern medicine, it does help. Of course it helps. But the main cause of infertility in the modern world is not that modern people lack hormones, chemicals, or vitamins. They lack energy. They live incorrectly. When there's sufficient energy in the body naturally adjusts itself to make everything work out. You definitely lack energy. You're living incorrectly. And most likely your husband also lacks energy. However, since you've been dealing with this issue for a long time, it's risky to wait or experiment. So you need to start treatment and gather energy. We will discuss how to do this during today's lecture. There are even dietary items that enhance the chances of conception, both for women and men. You need to be aware of all of this and make use of these foods. Now, your next question. There's a young lady in the back. Good evening. I'm very glad to see you. Likewise. I have a question. I have a little girl, and she has bedwetting issues at night. That's precisely the topic of today's lecture. Almost everyone faces this problem. It's tension in the body, tension. She's tense. This tension arises from a weak connection to the ground. What floor do you live on? 5th floor? Still, living on the 5th floor is manageable. She's tense, which is why she can't relax, leading to enuresis. It manifests at night as bladder contractions. I can easily treat this with seeds, but I'll give you some advice. In this situation, you should keep the child in warm water for about 35 minutes before bedtime, at least 3 times a week, in a bath, not under a shower. Just let her stay in a warm bath for 35 minutes 3 times a week to help her relax. And in the evening before bedtime, you should apply clarified butter to her damp body. You can do it after the bath. Or simply moisten the body a bit and apply the butter. I'll also be discussing this technique with you today. Try to give her more vegetables and dairy products and reduce grains. Grains provoke tension as they have a tonifying effect. She's not very fond of vegetables. Does she like dairy products? She eats dairy products. You should give her more fresh milk, cream, butter, sour cream, and buttermilky. These products will help relax her, but avoid yogurt as it provokes tension. It's particularly important to give her warm milk with honey before bedtime. It will promote relaxation and improve her sleep. Thank you. Does she feel cold when she sleeps? Or is it too hot or warm for her at night? Sometimes she kicks off the covers, so I come and cover her. If she kicks off the covers, it means she's too hot. Try covering her with a thinner blanket and put a cap on her head. Her head gets strained and her body overheats, so this is another issue to consider. Put on a thin knitted cap, not too big. A light one so she can sleep comfortably without feeling it. Your question. Good evening, Oleg Gennadievich. Thank you so much. A year ago, I was fortunate to ask a question at your lecture. It's interesting to know what happened next. I provided you with an answer. And what's been happening since then? I had a question about infertility for a long time. Soon I will become a happy mother, thanks to your advice. You're already pregnant? Yes, thanks to your advice. All right, excellent. Best of luck to you. Thank you very much. When you give birth, stay calm. Don't stress yourself. When a woman calmly gives birth, believes that everything will be fine, everything goes as it should. Don't be afraid of anything. Give birth calmly. It's better to give birth in a maternity hospital. No home births. It's very dangerous. I'll tell you why. I have a team of more than 100 people. Many of us have families. And there's been a trend of home births. I've never advised my assistants to give birth at home. Because childbirth can go in different ways, and not always midwives can handle the situation. 3 members of my team were affected. 1 woman had kidney failure after being brought to the maternity ward due to complications during childbirth. In the second case, the child suffered, and we are still trying to rectify the situation. Although if this had happened in a hospital, the outcome would have been much better. In the third case, a child also suffered. Then I examined the statistics and found that there is an artificial exaggeration about home births. The idea that home births are very healthy. According to statistics, there are twice as many deaths during home births as when women give birth in a hospital. In reality, home births simply offer a comfortable situation for women. In other words, they do it for themselves, not for the child. But often, the woman herself suffers as well. I know people who both the child and the mother died. If the birth had taken place in a hospital, this wouldn't have happened. If you fear a rough treatment towards yourself, there are private maternity hospitals where they treat you much better. So, you should find a maternity hospital where they will treat you kindly and give birth there if you are afraid of the usual medical setting. There are even maternity hospitals where they allow your own midwife. In other words, they permit you to have your own midwife with you. She simply observes everything, serving as a kind of guarantee that everything will be fine. Just keep in mind this enthusiasm for home births that many women are currently into. Despite my words, they stubbornly follow their path and then shed bitter tears. The desire to give birth at home is so intense, so wild that they even ignore experienced advice from a senior person. I serve as a mentor for many people, but they don't listen to me. They do things their own way. Later, they're tearing their hair out because every minute matters. If things don't go well, a midwife can't do much about many things. For example, if the labor process stops, no matter how experienced the midwife is, she can't guarantee that she will be able to restart it. And there, it's a matter of minutes. You understand? Then there's the second scenario, where the baby is positioned correctly and suddenly shifts into an abnormal position. There's nothing you can do about it, and labor begins, which is very dangerous. There are fetal positions where natural birth is not an option. Only a cesarean section can save the baby. And it needs to be done quickly, because if there's a delay, even that might not save the situation. That's how it is, my dears. That's why in ancient cultures there were many infant deaths during childbirth. It was considered normal that out of 8 children, for instance, 2 might die during childbirth, because childbirth itself sometimes leads to infant mortality, you understand? Nowadays they try to save all the babies. Often people, without understanding the situation, blame doctors for performing too many cesarean sections. It's not a problem with the doctors, it's a problem with the people. People are living improperly, women are weakened, and natural childbirth doesn't proceed normally. That's why the risks are increasing, and giving birth becomes more dangerous. So the only option is a maternity hospital. Raise your hand if you disagree with me. Maybe you were lucky to have a normal birth once, but there's no guarantee it will be the same the second time. I have an acquaintance who gave birth at home for the first time, and the second time her husband came to me, like to an elder, and said, "Oleg Gennadievich, I understand that you're inclined towards a hospital birth, but we want to give birth at home because it worked for us once." I told him what would specifically happen with his wife if she would give birth at home. This childbirth would be less safe because they were in a different astrological period. He thought about it, scratched his head, walked around, and eventually took his wife to the maternity hospital. What I had predicted did indeed happen, and he later came to me and expressed deep gratitude because he saw how it all unfolded, and the danger was very significant. But you can verify all of this in your own life. I repeat once again, a close friend of mine tested it in her life. The child is now traumatized, and she will suffer and remember her own recklessness for the rest of her life. Don't take on more than you can handle. I'm telling you this as someone who knows what the issue. Because I'll tell you more, my wife also gave birth at home. And furthermore, I actively participated in the delivery process. Afterward, I realized that it was a serious mistake in my life. I will never repeat it again. You in the back, ask your question.
Hello, I have a question regarding a 17-year-old child. Where should we guide him?
You see, a boy's development goes like this. Initially, there's no need to guide him anywhere. You should enroll him in a sports club with physical activity, where he can train his willpower.
Did he participate in a sports club? Yes, and then he did karate and swimming.
That's excellent. It means he has passed the first stage of male development and moved on to the second. In the second stage, a man is always passionate about something. In the first stage, he's like a soft cheesecake. Nothing interests him except computer games.
In the second stage, he's passionate. What are his interests? It seems like he's currently in the first stage, like a soft cheesecake. Lecturer, when was he in the sports club? He was in sports until he was 12, but then he had meningitis, and after that, he didn't engage in sports seriously.
All right, now enroll him in some sports clubs, and he'll get activated and figure out his path himself. You might lose a year, but you'll give him the opportunity to develop normally. You can't dictate to a man where to go. He must decide for himself, and he can do that if he finds something he likes, and he can like it if his willpower is engaged. And a man's willpower is activated only through movement. See, a woman's willpower is activated through art, through love. That's why girls should be enrolled in creative clubs involving activities like painting, singing, and dancing. This way, women activate and blossom as individuals, developing well. For boys, they need some willpower-focused activities involving physical movement. That's where they truly open up. Sometimes chess suits boys, as it's a battle of intellects. Well, there are exceptions, but in general, they need sports and physical activity.
I can't figure out my child's calling. Could you explain it using your insight? Lecturer, well, he'll simply work, earn a living through his own efforts. Am I correct in understanding that this person is not a leader, just a worker? Shouldn't we expect anything more from him?
No, you shouldn't expect more. But he can work very well and be very successful. He might be hardworking, but you need to unlock the potential in the boy. You need to make him strong, determined, so he can recall his willpower, how he overcame fate. You've broken him, you got frightened because of the illness, and he ended up knocked out. You need to pull him out of that knockout again. This applies to everyone, often after an illness, Especially when doctors scare them, people lose their spirit. Knees hurt, no more running, catch a cold, no staying in the fresh air, get overheated in the sun, can't stay in the sun. That's it. Can't means you're no longer connecting with nature. If you disconnect from nature, you wither. I'll tell you about myself in this context during today's lecture. You'll learn how to live correctly, after all. I believe it's time to start the lecture. We've gathered more or less, and others will catch up. I'm glad to see all of you. Your applause is appreciated because the tour I'm currently undertaking is quite challenging. I'd like you to recognize this effort. You see, I've flown more than 10,000 kilometers in just 2 weeks. So today, we will discuss something that most likely you already know, because I talk about it in every lecture. I believe most of you came here just to meet with me, as all the lectures are available on the internet. Who among you has never listened to my lectures before? Raise your hand. You see, just a few people. Who has listened but hasn't met me in person? Raise your hand. Well, that's the majority. And who has met me and missed this? Quite amazing. That's mostly our situation. Nevertheless, I will still share with you what you've already heard, because knowledge, according to the Vedas, deepens gradually in consciousness. It may seem like you already know it, but knowledge has 3 stages of development. The first stage is when something is interesting for a person, but they lack a deep understanding of the knowledge. They simply say, I've already heard this, I know it. But in reality, they don't truly know it. Because knowing means having a strong desire and the ability to act upon it. In the second stage, a person knows so well that they want to act, but they can't yet because their knowledge hasn't deepened enough. And in the third stage, they not only want to do it, but also can do it. You understand? For instance, when a person falls in love, their knowledge immediately reaches the third stage, and they will go on a date 100%. In other words, nothing will stop them from going on that date. They will go for sure. But if someone falls in love and their knowledge doesn't reach the third stage, they might say, I don't have time for a date. However, if they're truly in love, they will definitely find the time for a date, no matter what. Often people say, I don't have time for this, I'm a very busy person. But if you truly know that something is necessary, then you will find the time, without a doubt. Because you find time for interesting movies and indulging yourself in gluttony in the evenings, right? I mean, there's always time for what a person wants to do because they believe in it, they enjoy doing it. Realized knowledge means that a person enjoys doing it, but realized knowledge is acquired through various means. The very first and crucial means is repetition. You need repetition because, for instance, you have knowledge on the first layer. Some think, I already know this. Why should I attend this lecture? I've downloaded all the lectures from the internet. I can sense approximately how many people in the city listen to my lectures intensively. Currently, more than 2,000 people are actively listening to my lectures. Out of them, only 300-400 people attend the lecture. Why? Because the rest say, why go to a lecture? I can listen to it on the internet and I don't have time. I don't mind, either way is fine. But those who come here will definitely move to the next stage. Why? Because when there's direct contact, it all depends on the strength of the impact. Direct contact provides a strong impact. A person who merely knows what to do, but lacks inspiration, will move to the stage of wanting to do it, but saying, I want to, but I don't have time. And the one who already knows and says, I want to, but don't have time, will move to the stage of doing. It all depends on the depth of understanding the situation. But I believe you won't waste your time because primarily topics like health and the right way of life I touch upon briefly in my lectures. Seminars like this one today are quite rare, and especially considering my accumulated experience in these matters. You might learn and discover something new as well. The very first question is how to stay healthy in a megacity. The answer is this. If you don't invest your efforts in your health and don't study this question, you won't be able to stay healthy in a megacity. It's impossible. Why? Because the main reason we're not healthy is not a matter of luck or misfortune. Some say, well, a person is genetically healthy by nature. It's a fact that some people have a greater inclination to be healthy, while others have a lesser inclination. But if, for example, you cut off oxygen to a person, one will die in 10 minutes and the other in 7. But still, they will die. You understand? So the one who lasts 10 minutes genetically has better health, but they will still die without oxygen. Similarly, You need to understand that the person has oxygen, not just the oxygen we breathe. Often, people start saying that the air is polluted, so we live poorly, blaming the dirty air and bad ecology for our problems. In your city, 10% might be bad ecology, and 90% is the fact that you don't know how to live correctly. If you follow that 90%, you won't even notice the 10%. Additionally, the human body is designed to eliminate unnecessary things if it has the strength for it. The human body is not foolish, you understand. It's highly intelligent. It knows what and how to eliminate. And today I will demonstrate this through my own life example. Today, I will tell you how I do it and what results I've achieved. So let's start learning. The first thing you should understand is that we have a certain internal battery. This battery, for the most part, is depleted in everyone. It's an energy battery. For example, when we eat, we receive chemical substances inside us. That's normal. We have no problems with that. In general, nobody goes hungry. But there's another need in our body. The human body doesn't just need proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, you understand? This need accounts for only 40%, while the remaining 60% of a person's needs are related to natural factors like sunlight, water, fresh air, earth, and simply living space. Often people live in apartments and say, I just want to go outside. I want to look at the sky. You see, it's crucial to know that this space also gives a person the strength to live. Vast space, the sun, water, earth, all these nourish our batteries, but not just like that. You see, since we lead a sedentary lifestyle, we move very little, so our batteries don't recharge just by being outdoors. There's another reason why this is the case. It's because we are very preoccupied with ourselves. For the body to recharge from the sun and the air, a person must love nature. Loving it means paying attention to it. So if they are in nature, they should feel that there is the sun. They should delight in the sun. Joy means receiving. You delight in the sun, you receive the sun. You delight in water, you receive water. You delight in the trees, you receive their energy. You recharge yourself. You rejoice in the trees, you receive their energy and recharge yourself. When a person is charged up, when we've charged this 60%, you see what it means? It means that the person's health begins to recover immediately. That is, when our health improves, our mood gets better. Then, there's no depression, sleep improves, digestion gets better, and thinking sharpens. In other words, people become normal and active individuals. But most people in today's society quickly get tired, their sleep is disrupted, and they are very nervous. In other words, they are depressed. Depression means reduced energy in a person, like uncharged batteries. You might say, yes, Oleg Gennadievich, the cause of this is stress. No, you are mistaken. Stress itself arises because we lack the energy to do something. For example, when you're trying to do something but you don't have the energy, stress occurs, right? I try to lift something and can't. I start to get nervous. I used to lift it, but now I can't. Stress occurs right away. Stress arises from a lack of strength, but when a person has strength for everything, there won't be any stress. So the problem is that we don't even know about the existence of these batteries. If we knew, we would try to be outdoors every day. We don't know how important it is for a person to be outdoors. We also don't know how to do it. One man approached me. Oleg Gennadievich, you talk about running. Well, I constantly play football and my whole body is injured. But you're running incorrectly, you understand? You run in tension, in stress, you want to win. But you should run calmly, joyfully, lightly. It's a completely different kind of running. Or you might say, Oleg Gennadievich, I'm constantly on the move and I have hypodynamia. Yes, I'm constantly moving at work. That's not the right kind of movement. So let's learn how to move, what to do. Today, specifically for your lecture, I cleared one psychic cylinder. Just out of curiosity, I did brisk walking and cleared one psychic cylinder. In terms of distance, it turned out to be twice as much as running. So, I ran 5.5 kilometers to clear one psychic cylinder, but I walked 11 kilometers for that to happen. And in terms of time, it took me about 2 hours, around 1 hour 45 minutes. So, it's unrealistic to clear all 4 cylinders by walking. You would need to walk approximately 32 kilometers. It's simply not feasible, which is why I say it's better to run, my dears, to survive. So, my right knee started hurting. How did it start hurting for me? I mean, when I was running, nothing hurt. I stopped running, and then it starts hurting afterward. That's how my right knee sometimes ached, and it lasted for 4 months. I told myself, I don't care about what happens next. I want to help all people on earth understand how it works. If I'm wrong, then I'll be limping. But if I'm right, then I'll be healthy. I felt that I was right. I mean, I read that this is part of the healing process. As soon as my right knee stopped hurting, and it did stop hurting at some point, you might ask, but what if I have deformities there? You see, our bodies are designed in a way that everything is constantly changing. All cells in the body are completely renewed every 7 years. If you have deformities, the reason is that there's a lack of energy there. What do you think? Your body can't grow that cartilage? No problem. Just start running, and you'll see that at first there will be a lot of pain, then less, and then get an examination. You'll see that the deformity has reduced and the cartilage has grown as it should, and so on. Even if you have an artificial joint. You see, my mother recently replaced her knees, but she still walks on the treadmill and her health is recovering. The body can adapt to anything, you know? It gets used to everything in order to stay healthy. So after the right knee, my right hip joint started hurting, and it lasted for about 3-4 months. I walked as if I had sticks. I've never experienced anything like it. By the way, my knees had never hurt in my life, never. I didn't know what joint pain was at all. And they started hurting, which means the disease was there. It was just hidden. But if it had surfaced on its own, it would have been harder to treat. You understand? Then my left hip joint hurt, and each new joint hurt for a shorter period of time. Then the left knee, then the ankles recovered, then the entire spine up to the crown of my head, and then my heart recovered. And then I started running like a horse. Nothing hurts at all. I run, and nothing hurts. Gradually, my speed increased to 9 kilometers per hour. After that, I feel that I don't need to run faster. But at first, I ran slower than I walked. I couldn't run faster because I was getting out of breath. You understand? You see, I practiced yoga and fasting, but my body didn't fully detoxify. So, you need to engage in all 3 activities with varying levels of intensity. Now you might say, Oleg Gennadievich, maybe you're a special person. Well, let me give you an example of other people. There was a woman in Tallinn who approached me and told me she had knee problems and issues with all her joints. She asked, should I run too? I said, can you walk quickly? She replied, no. So I told her, then walk at your own pace, but for a long time. Walk for so long that you start feeling tired, like you can't go on. So she started walking for a long time and asked, what comes after walking? I told her, your knees and all your joints will hurt significantly. You'll need to endure it. She started doing just that. The pain would subside, she would walk again, the pain would return, and she kept going. That's how she healed all her joints, and then gradually started running. You see, even with polyarthritis, a person can recover, not to mention when the joints are healthy. Now you might tell me, but in our city, you see, the air quality is very poor. If we run in the city, our lungs will get polluted and we'll die. This is flawed thinking. Let me explain this to you a bit more. You should know our bodies are not designed that way. When a person runs, their body's cleansing functions are activated. Even if someone runs in a polluted area, those toxins will still be actively eliminated. But if a person doesn't run in a polluted area and simply breathes because your belief that there's no pollution in your apartment while there is outside, is mistaken. The air in your apartment is the same as outside. The only difference is that you add a little bit of your own pollution in there. That's the distinction, you see. So I used to run on Arbat right in the center of Moscow when I was younger. Not run, but walk. I used to run when I was very young and stopped running because older people told me that running, due to increased breathing, reduces one's lifespan. Due to this silly idea, I stopped running. I ran until I was around 28. And then I stopped for a long time, only resuming this practice at the age of 50. I believe it's a foolish theory that running pollutes our lungs with gases. That's absolute nonsense. On the contrary, when a person runs, they fill themselves with prana energy. What does this energy do? It cleanses the entire body. Prana energy cleanses. You'll experience a cleansing process. If the body senses excess of something, it immediately eliminates it if there is energy. And when we run, what happens? We fill ourselves with energy, become lively, my friends. Do you feel like I've just made a long flight? I'm energetic, right?
I arrived here only yesterday evening. You see, I'm full of energy. It's all thanks to a healthy lifestyle. Where will you go running tomorrow, lecturer? In the sauna, in the bathroom, and while running, I don't provide consultations.
The next topic is static exercises. Do you understand how to run? You just need to push yourself. And push yourself knowing that it's beneficial for you. During your run, you'll feel that it's best to listen to lectures with headphones. Wish everyone happiness, rejoice, and be happy. You might ask about the weather. If you're afraid of certain weather, don't run in it. But gradually, the range of possibilities expands. Last year, in December, in Ufa, during heavy snowfall and strong winds, I went for a run. And when I run, I sweat a lot because I have a lot of inner heat. I was completely drenched in sweat. Even my hat was wet. I was completely sweaty all through. The snow was wet. A strong cold wind was blowing, and it was minus 15 degrees Celsius. I ran about 14 kilometers at that time. So I completed my distance. I didn't get ill at all, no runny nose, nothing happened. My body handled all these challenges with ease. It doesn't mean that you'll definitely get ill if you run in such weather, but some people aren't prepared for it, and they might fall ill. Don't test yourself. Is it possible to run on a treadmill? You can, but afterward you should go outside and spend at least 15 minutes there. Take a walk so your body can absorb prana. You see, when a person runs, even on a treadmill, they go outside, and it becomes easy to breathe, good for breathing. At this time, the body gets nourished. Running accumulates energy like a capacitor, you see, during the run, to infuse energy into itself. It's better, of course, to run outside, not on a treadmill. The softness of the treadmill surface is not the most important thing. You see, the most important thing is the fresh air, and your joints won't wear out from running on asphalt. I can guarantee you that. Skiing and skating are unnatural forms of movement. Let me explain. When a person runs, it's not just about the specific movement. What's important is that running is a unique mental state in which a person easily relaxes. On skis you won't relax, on skates you won't either. When a person is running, at some point it feels like falling asleep. It's like a dream while running. You see, it's an unusual state of the body in which the body easily rejuvenates. Running is a more natural state for a person than even walking. If someone has learned to run, it's easier for them to run than to walk, you understand? First, you need to get into it. Until you're in it, you won't feel that running is easy, but it will become easy later.
How about a treadmill on the balcony? Lecturer, a treadmill on the balcony is better than inside the house.
But a treadmill on the street is even better. And even better, just running in nature. But you're thinking correctly. If you can't run outside, then a treadmill on the balcony is also good. Your balcony is enclosed by windows, right? That means there won't be much prana there. The prana will be limited.
The balcony is not enclosed. Lecturer, well then run on the balcony.
Once you learn to run, go outside. Start on the balcony if you're afraid of dogs or something else. If you can't run on the balcony, run inside the house. If running isn't an option, walk. If you can't walk, at least crawl. I recommend running for those who want to live. I ran 70 kilometers in Irkutsk. I was running along the Angara River waterfront, and there, on the waterfront, a woman around 75 years old was running very slowly. She was running slower than many people walk. She was running very slowly because of her advanced age, but she kept on running, and she ran for a long time. I looked and saw that she's guaranteed another 5 years of life without any illnesses, you understand? It's just because she does this physical activity. You see, age simply reduces capabilities. It says you're restricted. Age says you're old, you can't run, and you can only walk occasionally. That's what age does, but you must overcome these thoughts.
First walk, then run, and eventually soar on the wings of your thoughts. Does it matter if it's morning or evening, speaker? It matters.
All forms of rejuvenation should take place when the sun is rising until 12 at noon. After that, it's too late. While the sun is ascending, it purifies the body, but once it sets, the body won't undergo purification. From morning until 12 you can choose any time. The sun is always there, you just can't see it. It keeps moving. Whether there's the sun or not, whether you see it or not, you still want to sleep in the evening, and in the morning you get out of bed. That's because it affects you. It gives you energy and strength. It doesn't matter whether you can see it or not. And when it sets, a person relaxes. In general, it's all very simple. You just need to understand the principle of survival. How to survive, whether young or old, the principle is the same for everyone. Song. Come on, sun, shine brighter, burn with golden rays. Hey, comrade, more life. Keep up, don't linger, march on. So that body and soul stay young, stay young, stay young. Don't fear the heat or the cold. Temper yourself like steel. That's it. That's the system. Personally for you, you have a lot of inner heat in your body, and your body tends to catch colds. You can jog outside in temperatures down to 7 degrees right now. Then be cautious, and the following year, you can jog in temperatures down to 15 degrees. Well, it varies for everyone. I just gave you an individual recommendation. It's different for everyone.
Is there a difference between running straight or sideways?
It's always better to run in a straight line. Listen to me carefully. If you're running and you want to go faster, thinking, I can go faster, I need to go faster, that's just torturing yourself, and it won't bring any rejuvenation. You should compel yourself to jog calmly. That's not easy either. Don't torment yourself. Run in a way that allows you to breathe easily. Otherwise, you won't recharge, you'll discharge. You understand? Just maintain a calm state, run for longevity, not to prove something to yourself. Longevity means a peaceful, joyful state. You should love nature during this time, not think about anything negative, and listen to positive lectures. You may listen to a kind doctor, Dr. Ibolit, or any other doctor. It doesn't matter. During running, you should listen to lectures because at that time, your cognitive abilities increase significantly and a person can absorb material very effectively. You understand? Combine running with something. You might say, I don't have time to run. Listen to lectures while running. Everything will be absorbed well. Remember it for a long time. Now let's move on. Next, static exercises. Running plus static exercises relieve tension in the body. Got it? Insomnia, headaches, knee pain, constipation, varicose veins, all of these are tension-related issues. You understand? Psychological disorders, for the most part, in the majority of cases, are also caused by this bodily tension, and it can be treated with a combination of running and static exercises. My dears, if after the lecture you come to me and ask, Oleg Gennadievich, I have varicose veins, what should I do? I will tell you the same thing, you understand? You may not even count on something else. In reality, everything is quite simple. We complicate things in our lives ourselves. Let's move on. Static exercises. You say, I can't sit in a lotus position or do yoga. Well, just stand still. Choose the simplest static exercise. Just stand there without moving. During this time, it's good to recite prayers. Prayer is also important for overcoming destiny. Let's talk about it. Praying is beneficial in a motionless body position. When a person walks or moves during prayer, the effectiveness is much lower because when a person moves, the mind is active. But when a person doesn't move, the intelligence is at work, and it's the intelligence that overcomes destiny. What is intelligence? It's the power of a person's will, determination, the ability to conquer themselves and bad habits, and knowledge stems from intelligence, and so on. You understand? Being in a still position strengthens a person's intelligence. They become more rational when they don't move. So, the first stage, the person does not move and swelling appears in the body. What is this? We have two energy levels in our body, two types of energy movement. One type is fast energy movement and the other is slow. We exist in slow energy movement, but slow energy movement alone doesn't conquer static tension in the body, nor does it conquer aging. Only fast movement does. When a person is not moving, fast energy movement kicks in, leading to swelling in the body. Everything swells up. So, when you're not moving, you might feel your legs and arms swelling, and you might think you're about to die. But no, it's just the energy kicking in. It pierces through the channels and starts training them. Since the body becomes excessively stimulated during this training, temporary swelling occurs. In the second stage, the energy moves even more vigorously, piercing through the channels and activating them. This is when the swelling transforms into a warmth spreading throughout the body, or intense tingling, akin to tiny needles pricking. So, individuals experience either warmth or tingling. This marks the second stage. The third stage is numbness. A person feels as though they've lost all sensation. Perhaps their arm has become entirely numb. There's no sensation whatsoever, complete numbness. This is the third stage. After experiencing the third stage, a person might start thinking, I might pass away now. That's the fourth stage. No, the fourth stage is a sensation of lightness. Raise your hand if you've gone through all four stages during static exercises and have reached the sensation of lightness. Raise your hand. You see, there are people who have... Now, what to do next? You see, listen to me. So, what to do? Let's say you're standing still, praying, and your entire body has swollen, and you're feeling like, I can't go on, I'm afraid. Change your body position. In another position, again, for the same amount of time, let the swelling occur, then change again, and so on. After a while, you'll learn to overcome the swollen state, reaching the sensation of tingling or warmth in your body. And again, the initial feeling is fear that you can't go on. Change your body position. There will come a time when you overcome the warmth and numbness will set in. When you think I can't go on, change your body position. Eventually, you will experience lightness. Once that lightness arrives, you can easily change your body position without waiting for anything else. You understand? Typically, this first round of purification or the first mental cylinder clears in 40 minutes. So, for 40 minutes, you stay still. And it will lead you to that sensation of lightness. Usually, swelling starts after about 15 minutes in a stationary body position. Warmth sets in around 25 minutes. Numbness appears at around 30-35 minutes. And then the sensation of lightness at 40 minutes. That's one mental cylinder cleared, and it's generally sufficient. Now, who among you can sit completely still in a particular body position, let's say for an hour and a half, without feeling any swelling and feeling perfectly fine? Are there such people? Raise your hand. Here, you can practice yoga to cleanse all four cylinders. 4 cylinders in one body position take 1 hour and 40 minutes. Got that? You may remain for 1 hour and 40 minutes in one body position, and you can do less running, for instance. You are the one of all who can fully cleanse yourself through yoga. It's just that everyone is different, and the methods may vary from person to person. One of the 3 methods should be applied to all 4 cylinders. You understand? Fasting for all 4 cylinders means 2.5 days on water. Got it? The most effective fasting method is a water fast for cleansing the body and promoting longevity. Don't invent anything else, not a dry fast, not any other type. Remember, it's water fasting. How much should you drink? As much as you want. Drink as much as you feel like. Some people need to drink more. They are naturally warm individuals. Their bodies are accustomed to consuming more fluids. And then there are those who are naturally cool. They need to drink less. Some people say, drink little, die soon. Incorrect thinking. If you don't feel like drinking a lot, then drink less and it will be fine. Water can also be excessive in the body, you understand? That's it, we've covered it. Just don't confuse the desire to eat with the desire to drink. If you feel hungry, have a little drink. If the hunger subsides, it means you weren't hungry but thirsty.
How often should fasting be done, lecturer? I'll explain now. You see, I clear 1 mental cylinder every day.
So I fast from the evening, meaning I have a light meal in the evening, like fruits. I'll explain the diet in the evening. I have fruits and drink milk. Then I only eat at lunch, which is around 13. In other words, if you calculate, it's about 14-16 hours. This clears 1 mental cylinder. I've been doing this my whole life. I never eat in the morning because it's the most effective time for purification, when the sun rises until noon. During this time, the body naturally cleanses itself. And if you don't eat during this time and just drink water, your body will undergo thorough cleansing. Because all the body's energy is focused on cleansing. I've been doing this every day for about 20 years now. My body is accustomed to it.
I don't even feel like eating in the morning at all. What about breakfast? What about the daily regime, speaker?
I don't oppose having breakfast. I'm just sharing my approach. There are different fasting methods. For example, another fasting method involves fasting from the evening until the next morning. Fasting from evening to evening is not a proper method. Either fast until lunch or until the next morning, which totals about 1.5 days. You understand? Another fasting approach could be this. You eat in the evening, then you don't eat all day, and the following day you have your meal at lunchtime. Until lunchtime, that's right, or until the next morning, which is already 2.5 days. There's no need to fast for more than 2.5 days. It doesn't make sense. All 4 cylinders have been cleansed. That's it. Beyond that, fasting has no impact on longevity. Got it? How often? You can fast for 14 hours every day. For 1.5 days, you can fast once every 2 weeks. And if you want to fast for 2.5 days, then no more often than once every 3 weeks. Otherwise, it will overload your system. You haven't grown tired of listening to me, have you?
Do women need to fast too? Lecturer, women in general don't need to run, do static exercises, or fast at all.
Because women, you see, they are so wonderful, so beloved, that they don't age or get sick. They flutter around like butterflies all the time. So women don't need anything special. But to be honest, you see, it would be very difficult for women to run 16 kilometers, very difficult. However, fasting for 2.5 days, that's not a problem at all. Women's bodies handle fasting better, so make fasting the primary way to cleanse your body, with static exercises coming second and running, for example, in third place. Well, if we talk about what to prioritize in general, it all depends on your health conditions. Let me break it down by health conditions for you now. Now you see, if you have tension in your body, then 2 austerity practices will suit prolonged movement and staying still. Bid farewell to that tension. If you feel heat in your body, let's say, most often men have heat in their bodies, while women usually have tension. Well, sometimes men also experience tension. As people age, tension tends to increase. Aging means tension. Remember this, as old age approaches, tension increases more and more. That's why movement is life. However, when a person experiences heat in their body, that heat can be alleviated through static exercises and fasting. The heat goes away. What is this heat? It includes stomach ulcers, allergic conditions. High blood pressure can result from heat. Infertility in men is often associated with heat. These are static exercises combined with water fasting. Farewell heat. The person cools down, and deep cooling happens at the level of the mind. Strong heat in the body translates to anger, irritability, sensitivity, severe allergies, food intolerances, inflammation, and coughing. Inflammation and colds, it's all unnecessary heat in the body. Fasting combined with static exercises, that's the right way. Goodbye colds. Goodbye excess heat in the body. Now let's talk about how to treat excess weight. Prolonged continuous movement and fasting are needed. They say you should eat less, and that's true. Here's a joke. A chubby woman goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, please help me lose excess weight. What should I do?" The doctor looks at her and says, "Eat less." She replies, "Thank you." And the appointment is over, as if she didn't know it herself. Prolonged movement plus fasting. Remember, the main reason people have excess weight, it's due to overstrain. When a person stresses in the evening, they want to relax. Eating relaxes them, and then they go to sleep. But if they don't eat, they won't be able to sleep due to the tension. It's an artificial way of relaxation when people eat at night. So you see, my dears, let's consider the movement of the sun, shall we? From midnight to noon, there's a breakdown process happening in the body. Substances are breaking down. But from noon to midnight, there's synthesis. You see, synthesis, this means that if you eat at night, it's not to have more energy. All of that goes into fat, understand?
But if you want to prevent it from turning into fat, you can wait until midnight, yes. Don't sleep. But then your sleep will be disrupted. What if you can't gain weight?
And if you can't gain weight, it's the same thing. It means there's significant tension and heat in the body. So high tension, high heat, what to do? For tension, running plus static exercises. For heat, static exercises plus fasting. You see, it's still fasting, but not for long. And also, you see, if you can't gain weight or your metabolism is disrupted and you say, I have no appetite, run. When a person runs, their digestive fire significantly increases. Everything in their body warms up and everything starts to be digested. You understand? But not just running. Because if you only run, you'll lose even more weight. You need static exercises. They also improve metabolism because you have two types of tension, static and dynamic.
What about short stature?
Short stature means excessive tension in the body. The same thing, you understand? Well then, my dears, I've told you the reasons for aging and how to get rid of them, right? I will add to this that in addition to the austerity of active cleansing of the body, there is also a passive one. What's the difference between active and passive? Active cleansing clears polluted mental channels and helps eliminate chronic diseases. Have you grasped it? To get rid of chronic diseases, you need active austerities. It's like saying, "Hey comrade, more life," he sings. So this is for chronic diseases, making yourself want to live. When you're lying at home saying, "I won't go for a run," that's the desire to die. Overeating means the desire to die, not getting up, the desire to die. Not wanting to attend a lecture, the desire to die. Don't want to work on yourself, desire to die. Don't want to forgive, desire to die. Living in depression, desire to die. What is the desire to live? Forcing yourself to run, forcing yourself to attend a lecture, wishing happiness for everyone, forgiving, asking for forgiveness, not eating at night. That's all the desire to live.
I eat at night and nothing happens, lecturer. Oh really? Are you absolutely sure?
Do I need to tell you more or not? May I, right? It accumulates in your blood vessels, my dear, you understand? It doesn't necessarily result in excess weight. Toxins accumulate as well. It accumulates in your blood vessels, and your brain's blood vessels and heart's blood vessels have already started to suffer. It will accumulate for sure, you see, absolutely.
So where this happens is another question. I can see a person's body and I inform you about the situation. What if the water is bad? Lecturer jokingly, all problems are in the water. We all die from water. That's why you need to drink living water, not dead water. My electrical device creates living water, which I advertise.
But first let me tell you that you'll all die without this device. Then I'll sell it. That's modern business. Water is crucial. What kind of water, what composition? A person gradually gets used to any water composition. A person adapts. And if a person performs austerities, all unnecessary substances are eliminated from the body. All the unnecessary stuff is flushed out through water, you understand? But the composition is important. You have good water here. Sometimes there's bad water. For example, where I live, there's a lot of limestone in the water. Your water here is good, quite clean. You won't get anything bad from the water. I assure you of that. But sometimes water can be heavy. That happens. However, even this is not the main cause of human aging. The main cause is laziness. Laziness and tension are two reasons that damage health. It doesn't mean they are relaxed. You can be running around all day at work, but relaxation comes from gentle, happy, prolonged, continuous movement. Listen to this. Let's say you run 5 kilometers. As soon as you stop, the detoxification of the body is finished. You'll already need to run more to cleanse the whole body. But if you just run around for a little here and there during the day, nothing really gets purified. And if you do it while being tensed, it'll be even worse. So, if you move while being under pressure, you get older faster from it. Basically, we're talking about recharging our batteries now. You need to move calmly and joyfully and wish everybody happiness while doing this. If while running, you think about your wife, she's so horrible, you won't recharge. On the contrary, you might get a stomach ulcer after running like this, or hemorrhoids might come out.
What about rachiacampsis, spinal curvature?
With spinal curvature, you can't run, you can't even walk, and you can sit only once in a while.
And a mixed joint disease?
With a mixed joint disease, you shouldn't run under any circumstances. Get ready for death. Now listen about how doctors are killing people. I'll tell you right now, I'm not against the doctor who helped me to diagnose. They diagnosed me with glaucoma in the eye. It happens sometimes that a person seems to be doing everything right, but they are going through excessive stress. For me, excessive stress is light. I've suffered from eye sensitivity all my life. Even these lights above me, they tire me a lot. That's why I got sick with one disease. My intraocular pressure started to rise. When I went to the doctor, the pressure in this eye was terrible. It was already the terminal stage of glaucoma. The pressure was 40 instead of 20, he told me. If such pressure continues, in 6 months you will go blind. You will have a retinal detachment. This was exactly a year ago. Now, I'll tell you how such doctors' thinking influences our consciousness. Listen carefully. I'm not against this person. He diagnosed me properly. I thought my eye was just strained. I felt it, but I didn't understand the consequences. I didn't know that, in my case, it led to an increase in intraocular pressure. So I asked this doctor, how do you treat the eye? He told me, only with drops. You need to use drops in the morning and evening to cure the eye. I asked, can I do any activities at all? I run 16 kilometers, swim in ice holes, stand on my head, I fast. He said, well, not so intensely, you should be careful. And now listen to me carefully. I cured my eye. And I understood why it misfunctioned. If I didn't spend 4 or 5 hours a day looking at the computer, I wouldn't have had this eye condition. I will now tell you some interesting things. When I went for my 16-kilometer run, I bought a device to measure eye pressure. There are handheld devices available now. You can measure with it wherever you want. During the run, I measured the eye pressure, and it turned out to be normal. When I was standing on my head, my assistant measured the eye pressure, and it was normal. When I was in the sauna, I measured the eye pressure, and it was normal. When I was fasting and measured it, it was normal, you understand. But when I started looking at the computer monitor, I measured it, and it increased drastically. And then I checked all my office workers, and even young guys. All their eye pressure also was increasing after 3 to 4 hours of computer work. but not as much, just a bit. That's when I understood what this computer does to us, how it raises eye pressure for everybody, even for those who are unaware of it. Now, what saved me? I realized that I couldn't do without a computer. I need to work, I have patients to see. So I simply started to pray. The most important thing is not to succumb to this provocation when they tell you, you can't run, you can't walk, you can't do this or that. You see, at that moment, the mechanism of aging and self-destruction in the body is activated. When a person believes that they can't move, can't live, it means they are dying. If they told you, you can't be in the sun, you can't be in the fresh air, you can't be on the ground, you can't be in the water, and you believe it, prepare for the end. Is that clear? Did you grasp the system? If doctors have told you, you can't walk, you can't move, you can't sit, you can't lie down, you can't do this or that, and you believed it, then prepare for the end. So what is the truth about doctors in this case? The truth is that if a person has joint problems, they should still walk slowly, but for a long time. Not just walk, but walk slowly. And then when they recover, they should start jogging slowly and then faster. That's the truth. But if a person believes that they can't run at all or can't walk at all, that they can't be outdoors at all, then that's not the truth. This destroys their life. You understand? The woman who asked me this question, do you understand how to deal with joint problems? Joint problems mean tension. When there's tension, you need prolonged movement and still body position. Then you may say goodbye to joint problems. You might say, Oleg Gennadievich, it's easy for you to say. Well, let me tell you. I have a relative, an uncle, who had achy knee joints. And he said, Oleg, I have a deformation. I can't run, and it's difficult for me to walk too. The doctors tell me that if I walk a lot, I'll get even more sick. They say I can only walk a little. I told him, if you walk less than 10 kilometers, you'll never heal your joints. And he started walking, gradually increasing the distance. When he started walking more than 10 kilometers, his joints healed, and now they don't hurt at all, despite the deformities. That's all, my friends. It's all very simple. The body is not like a machine. Its parts don't wear out. They can regenerate when there's enough energy. Now, what did I do with my eye? I started praying, and in prayer I first felt calmness. This is the first stage of victory over fate. Then knowledge came to me, and the knowledge was about specific zones in the body through which you can provide energy to the eyes, despite their fatigue from computer work. Such a zone is located in the inner surface of the ear, and the source of energy is in seeds. Energy is embedded in seeds. There's potential energy and there's kinetic energy. For example, when you eat an apple, you gain kinetic energy, but potential energy is the one you can't see. Potential energy is stored in seeds, and it gets activated when it comes into contact with zones connected to the human mind. Now, these oracles are connected to the energy of the mind. Energy of the mind means self-control. In other words, I realized all of this for myself and placed the seeds there. I selected different seeds during several months and placed them in the zone associated with the eye. I also learned to understand these zones. As a result, as soon as I set everything correctly, my eye pressure normalized within 20 seconds. Right now, I have pressure of 18 here, of 19 here, and the normal level is 20. It never changes here in my eye. These seeds control the pressure. So, I've developed a treatment methodology that allows to normalize the self-control in the body, and we now apply this method to treat all diseases. It's particularly effective for cases when people can't walk or stand for extended periods. What kind of people are those who can't cleanse their bodies through willpower? Who are they? These are children, they are young, they don't understand yet, and you can't make them move continuously. That's why we are actively placing seeds in the ears for children, especially those with cerebral palsy and autism, and the results are very positive. In other words, it relaxes the children, and they start thinking more clearly. We've received a lot of good reviews, although we started working with this methodology only half a year ago.
Question: what kind of seeds are these?
It's all individually selected. We've researched around 3,000 different seeds and found those that also affect a person's psyche. You can treat mental illnesses this way, and you can treat infertility very effectively, especially when it's necessary to regulate hormonal functions in the body. Female and male infertility are treated with very good results. We select the seeds individually for the person and place them. I can tell you which seeds, but you won't be able to pick them yourself. It's all individual. For example, for eye treatment, I use the following seeds: apple seeds, watermelon seeds, grape seeds, flax seeds, sesame seeds, beet seeds, and a couple more seeds you are not familiar with, like the seeds of the Amur velvet tree. These are the seeds. Suppose you have an increased eye pressure, your eyes get tired and so on. You simply come to us. The treatment costs 22,000 rubles. You can wear these seeds all your life and it will always help you. If they don't help you, we will refund your money. Well, you can treat glaucoma, you can treat any eye condition. I haven't studied nearsightedness, farsightedness. I haven't done it yet. But I think that in the near future we will study that too.
Audience member, please tell us how to treat epilepsy. Lecturer: in the same way, we provide a person with seeds and their epilepsy seizures stop. Exactly the same way. Audience member, is it okay to run?
Absolutely. So, as soon as we provide the seeds and there are no seizures, because it's dangerous to run during a seizure, you can fall and get injured easily. That's why we start with the seeds, and once the seizures stop, you may go for a run. First walking, then running. Without this, you can't fully recover because epilepsy signifies mental tension. That's it, very simple. That's how this new method was born a year ago. First, I tried it on myself. I used it for 6 months, and then started treating people with these methods. It can all be done remotely. There's no need to come to us. We'll send you the seeds. Then we work out the seed wearing scheme. It's all completely individual. You see, even different varieties of beetroot, for instance, have different effects on people. So we even have to select the variety, not just the product type, but the variety. That's how we approach it scientifically, and we tailor it absolutely individually to each person. One type of beetroot works for one person, another for someone else, and so on. I have an assistant here. He's a doctor and he can explain how you can get treatment with us if you need it. This information is especially valuable for those whose children suffer from autism, speech delay, or developmental disorders. This is simply an invaluable opportunity because hardly anyone else can do anything about it. However, we will now learn how to deal with this, how to deal with these children, with these illnesses. So let's move on. The next topic is called infertility. Where does it come from? Infertility can be female or male. The main cause of infertility lies in hypodynamia, a lack of energy in the body, which accounts for 80% of infertility cases. A young woman, a girl of 18-20 years old, gives birth easily because the energetic structure of her body is active. Her energy batteries recharge easily because she is young. As a person gets older, they need to put in more effort to charge these mental batteries, and this also happens when a person grows. So, look at the people in the park, for example. Who walks in the park? It's children and the elderly. Why? Because the elderly need to walk since their bodies can no longer absorb energy on their own. And children, as they grow, they also need additional energy. In mature adulthood, people often don't realize that they lack energy. So what is infertility? This means that extra energy is needed for the body in order for a woman to conceive and carry a child. And since she has an energetic stagnation in her body, this additional energy doesn't kick in. And she sees it as inflammation, but it's all because of stagnation, you know? In other words, what to do? These three types of austerities. Let's say you want to conceive a child. For example, you're having trouble with it. There are three types of austerities: running, fasting, and static exercises, and in 90% of cases, you won't even need treatment. You'll achieve the desired result. Have you got that? Now, see how to determine what you need. If you have excess weight, it means fasting and running. If you have spasms, let's say, in the appendages, the patency of the fallopian tubes is broken, or just your cycle is suffering, it's painful, it means you just have tension there. You need running and static exercises. If you constantly have ongoing inflammatory processes, this could mean there are toxins, then fasting and static exercises are needed. Well, it's best to perform all three austerities at once and everything will be fine. Now, look further. There are foods that help with conception. For women, vegetables that grow above the ground are helpful. These include all kinds of cabbage, which improve a woman's hormonal functions, zucchinis, pumpkins, squashes, and cucumbers. Got it? These foods give women the strength to conceive. Also, milk. Milk, cream, and butter, got it? These foods plus white beans. Mostly, light-colored foods enable women to conceive. Got it? Now for the man, what foods help to conceive? These are all roots and tubers, either raw or boiled, but it's better to eat them raw for more strength. Also, ginseng root is very effective in aiding conception, which you can find in stores. Brew it and drink it like tea. The best and most effective way to extract strength from herbs and roots is through soup. Not just boiling in water, but making soup. You add root powder directly to the soup and consume it along with the soup itself. Soup stimulates digestion, and with this active digestion, you'll be able to assimilate these roots effectively. I mean for men. So, grains. These are the foods that overcome male infertility. Grains plus roots. These are the two types of foods you can eat to defeat male infertility.
Grains should be cooked. Lecturer, everything should be raw, you understand? We're talking about prana here. It's best to sprout grains and consume them raw.
And the roots should also be eaten raw. Grated beetroot, celery root, radish, horseradish. These roots should be grated and consumed. Specifically for treating female infertility, onions are also suitable. These onion bulbs are suitable for treating infertility. However, onions aren't the best food option because they increase lust. And lust increases exhaustion. One of the causes of infertility is excessive indulgence in sex. People simply exhaust themselves. Sexual energy gets depleted, making conception impossible. So, in order to conceive, one should not engage in frequent sexual activity. Once a month is the most frequent. Any more often can lead to exhaustion. The semen must be so strong that no obstacles can prevent conception.
Rarely, but right on target, you understand? And what about conceiving a girl?
All right, I'll tell you about that too. If you want a girl, you'll have a girl. Is it clear what to eat to prevent infertility? Got it, right? Mostly male infertility is caused by overheating. If a man feels hot when sleeping, experiences a disruption in his male sexual function, or excessive irritability, it means he's overheated and his semen is overheated. This accounts for 70% of male infertility. What to do? Water helps. Swimming. There is an active cleansing of psychic channels and a passive one. You see, water cools a person passively. Chronic illnesses aren't cured through passive cleansing, but acute diseases can be alleviated. For instance, inflammation in the body, if it's not a chronic condition, can be alleviated through passive means. Passive methods involve contact with earth, water, sunlight, and all the natural factors without performing austerities, without movement, just standing in water and cooling down, simply staying in the sun and warming up, or taking a leisurely walk on the ground to relax.
What if we swim actively? Lecturer, active swimming is also good.
By the way, an alternative to running is swimming. It's a natural state too, but you can't swim for long because water cools the body, so running is still better if you're aiming for a prolonged body cleanse. But if you want a shorter duration, then swimming is an option. Swimming is better when dealing with depletion, when you can't gain weight, because the aquatic environment predisposes to weight accumulation. It's crucial for women to understand that infertility can also be treated through contact with the earth and water. Male infertility is treated through contact with pure, proper solar energy, but often it's men who overheat due to an improper lifestyle. So, for men, it might be better to obtain solar energy not directly from the sun, but from grains. There's also a lot of solar energy in grains. Sprouted grains are a good way to increase the potency of the seed. So, grains are good for men, while legumes, beans help with female infertility. I'm only talking about infertility right now.
What if it's more than once a month?
Then you need to chop wood or do something to avoid overexertion. If you frequently experience overexertion, your seed loses its strength and sperm become weak, making them feeble when encountering the egg. You see, when a man waits for a long time, he overcomes all obstacles. Regarding conceiving a boy or a girl, there is such knowledge in the Vedas, but I don't provide guarantees. The first thing to know is that during intimacy, if a woman experiences more joy, a girl will be born. If a man experiences more joy, then a boy will be born. There are many predispositions. If both spouses breathe through the right nostril during conception, a boy will be born, and if it's the left nostril, then a girl. If the weather is cloudy outside, it's more likely a girl will be born, but if it's clear weather, then it's a boy. If conception happens on even-numbered dates, it's a girl, and on odd-numbered dates, it's a boy. There are many factors, including days of the week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday give birth to girls, while Tuesday and Saturday result in boys.
There are masculine and feminine days. What about Sunday? Lecturer, Sunday is a general day. Perhaps in Europe they conceive children on Sundays.
As for our infertility treatment, we use pumpkin seeds, beans, cucumbers. In case of male infertility, watermelon seeds help, and for female infertility, pumpkin seeds, zucchini beans, onion seeds, radishes and seeds from all types of cabbage, whatever is available.
What do you mean by apply, lecturer? We prescribe them and you attach them with a colorless plaster.
You see, here I have 9 seeds for eye treatment. You should wear them at night because all functions related to the reproductive organs are treated at night. Well, I've told you about it. Now let's continue to talk about viral infections.
How long should we wear the seeds? I think a year is enough, but you also need to start running. Not just think that you've placed the seeds and that's it. You'll have to do all the same plus the seeds. And once a month, that's the most important thing you've remembered. Lecturer and audience, everyone laughs. Do the seeds get depleted?
Yes, they get depleted. You can wear them for only a day, then discard them. Seeds lose their power, just like a battery. Plant seeds may be used for a day, tree seeds for 5 days. All right, we finished this topic, let's move on. How do diseases develop in a person? First of all, you should know that the entire health of our body, the whole body, is controlled by the mind, by mental functions. The entire human body depends on mental functions. Inside these mental functions, there is energy that is needed by the liver, the heart, and the kidneys. Without this energy, these organs don't function properly. You might say, you're making things up, Oleg Gennadievich. The heart, kidneys, and liver need oxygen, the nervous system, and chemical substances. That's it, nothing more is needed. You're making things up. What energy, you may ask? I'll explain now. You see, when you go for a walk in the fresh air, how do you feel? You come home, sit down and say, I feel so good. Is this just an illusion, just a mental idea? Is it something purely speculative, or does it affect all organs and systems? What do you think? For example, I went for a walk and my heart stopped hurting. Why? Because it was filled with energy. Or your mood improved after a vacation. You say, I went on vacation and my relationship with my husband improved. Why? Because you simply absorb the natural elements there, the sun, the sea. You find it easier to live. Now, what do you think? Organs don't receive this? They don't need it. If you feel that you need it, your organs need it too, right? They do need it. All right, another example. Suppose you want to buy apples. How do you examine them? You check if they are firm or not. If they are slightly wrinkled or soft, you don't buy them, right? You need them firm and sturdy.
The unattractive apples, they smell like apples. Lecturer, that's completely different.
You're talking about chemical and non-chemical ones. I mean, there are apples that already look like old people. They have wrinkles, they're all shriveled up. You wouldn't take the shriveled ones, right? No, shriveled ones are soft, they lack energy. Everyone agrees, right? So, you should know that when the apple is firm and sturdy, it's because of the mental energy. If you take a fresh apple and eat it or drink freshly squeezed juice, the difference will be colossal. An apple provides more energy than apple juice. This energy, which is present in a firm apple, is called prana, or mental energy. When you touch a little child's cheek, it feels so firm. That's called prana. It's the same thing. Children have a lot of prana. Why? Because a little child naturally absorbs the energy of nature. And notice how little kids are always crying, wanting to go outside. Try not taking a child outside. They'll go crazy, screaming and banging their head against the walls in your home. You see, they need to be outside. Dogs too. They cry and whine, wanting to go outside. That's why a person is blessed when they have a little child or a dog at home, because they also go for walks with them. And their cheeks, they don't notice it, but they become firmer too, because they get filled with prana. Because we've gotten used to being closed like in a can, like herring in tomato sauce. We've become accustomed to be like in a can, so whether we're at home or not, it's all the same. You see, whether at home or not, it's all the same. In other words, we don't understand. We've just become accustomed. And then we wonder why we age faster, why we get exhausted, why the rectum doesn't stay inside, what it needs to do outside, why it protrudes. There is a reason for that. So, listen to me attentively. I'm going to unveil now ancient, profound knowledge in simple language for you. And when you learn it, listen to it, everything will become clear to you. In this psychic and physical body, the energy of time operates. What is the energy of time? It's a force that affects us and ages the physical and psychic body. Time brings aging. But the energy of nature rejuvenates the body, giving it the ability to live. The energy of nature is a divine force that grants life and health. Earth, water, sun, all of this gives life. You know that plants grow worse at home than in the sun, in nature, because there's prana there, but not at home. So even if a plant grows at home, it's not as vibrant as the ones outdoors, because there's more energy outside. Or people who work in nature, they are stronger, filled with vitality, they have strength because they nourish themselves with nature. Those who work in offices, well, they are sort of like, you understand? I have neighbors, an old lady and an old man, both 80 years old, and they work in the garden all day long. I ask them, how did you live to be 80? They reply, how did we live? Try working in the garden and you'll live too. They are in the garden all the time. The garden, the earth, gives them strength, they eat the products they've grown. Every year they plant the same varieties of crops. These varieties have adapted to them and they have adapted to the varieties. The varieties have become accustomed to the soil. When you plant the same variety in the same place, it gets used to it. It starts to grow very well and robustly. So they get used to each other and live long and happily. That's how people lived on Earth for millennia. Now we grow apples in supermarkets. They grew there in the supermarket, and we picked them from the shelf. We don't know all of this. We don't understand. I won't criticize our life. Why do we have genetically modified foods? We should buy simpler things so that the worms can eat them. This means it's alive, but the other one is already filled with artificial prana. Excessively firm isn't good either. Nowadays, apples sometimes remain fresh for a month and nothing happens to them. This means it's artificial products, not as it should be. Even worms are disgusted by such apples. Well, that's a completely different topic. Nowadays, they constantly emphasize this topic that artificial products are bad, that they are causing our downfall. You see? And it's all nonsense. You understand? When I lived in Moscow, I was consuming these artificial products. Now my food grows in my garden. I was still healthy, but it was harder for me to stay healthy. Why? Because even if you eat slightly the wrong foods, though food is important, but if you live incorrectly, it extinguishes you more. And if you eat the right foods and live incorrectly, you'll still get sick. So you see a person's life? Look, life is an austerity. What is austerity? It's when you force yourself to do something. When you don't force yourself, it means you'll die soon. For example, if you don't make your hand move for a month, it will atrophy. It means it's not alive, no movement, no life. Doctors all know this. So if a patient lies in bed for a long time, they start to worry because death is approaching the patient. There's no movement, no life. Now, if we get more serious, this aging energy, when a person ages, that's how time works. Time, it's a force that affects both the physical body and the subtle body, the mental body. It's a force that ages everything. What does it mean to age? What is it? Let's break it down in detail. Aging energy has three forces. In general, the soul has three forces. Even as we are souls, which means we have three bodies. The spiritual body. I am the soul. The second one is the mental body and the physical body. The spiritual body has an eternal nature. The mental body is given to a person only in this universe. As long as you live in this universe, your mental body is provided by this universe. If you live in another universe, there will be a different mental body. You change it, and your psyche changes in another universe. But here, you will always have your own psyche. It will simply transform depending on the body you are in. Even if a person follows one lifetime, they start with a small body, then grow into an adult. Then they age. The body keeps changing, and the psyche adapts to it as well. So, I'm a soul and I have a spiritual body. There is the mental body and the physical body. The soul possesses consciousness or energy, a force. The soul has three energies. The first energy is the energy of knowledge, or the ability to overcome fate, or the energy of pain. It's all the same. So one must have knowledge to have willpower. If a person doesn't know why they should do something, they don't even know why it's necessary. They won't have an urge to act. The energy of knowledge. The second energy is the energy of love. And the third energy is the energy of the desire to live, or the aspiration for eternity. The longing for eternity transforms into life-giving air, the one that grants eternity, life-giving air or prana in the psychic body. This is the energy of prana. It gives life to a person, the ability to move, to be strong and resilient. When we breathe in air, what wonderful air. It's also filled with prana. Why is it good? It's not just oxygen. You say plenty of oxygen. No, it's not much oxygen. You don't realize that it's oxygen. If you lie in a hyperbaric chamber, you won't feel fresh air there. Oxygen itself doesn't feel like fresh air. Fresh air, or oh, how nice to breathe, that's prana, remember? It's the same as the firmness in an apple or a watermelon. Drink watermelon juice and you won't get the same effect as eating the watermelon, you see. It's only when you've eaten the watermelon that you'll feel it. This is called prana, remember? Prana, or the will to live, it's the same energy. The will to live is the soul's energy, and prana is the energy of the psychic body, one and the same energy. Or physical strength, big muscles, that's also prana, or woman's slenderness. This is feminine prana. When a woman is slender, it means there's a lot of energy in her body. And if not slender, it means there's little energy. So men look for whether she's slender or not. They prefer a slender one necessarily. Why do they need a slender one? Because a slender woman will have an easier time giving birth to children, easier pregnancy. It means having a lot of prana, a lot of energy in the female body. Being slender means having a lot of strength. Men have a lot of prana when they have big muscles, they are like that. Women like that too, because he'll be able to work a lot. I'll stay at home, he'll work, he has a lot of strength. Women like it when a man is strong, at least he can hammer nails into the wall. Have you remembered what prana is? So, when prana doesn't connect with nature, our energy of prana, or the desire to live, doesn't connect with nature, then this desire to live, or prana, transforms into tension. Remember, tension. This tension is the energy of aging. It's the energy of aging, or the origin of diseases. In the body, on the second stage, tension transforms into overstrain or spasms, joint pains, spine pains, headaches, women's pains, all sorts of pains. This is the second stage of the development of this disease related to tension, or this type of aging. There are three types of aging because the soul has three energies. There is the energy of the desire to live, the energy of love and knowledge. And we are discussing the energy of the desire to live, or prana. So this prana energy, or the desire to live, initially, if we don't connect with nature in our life, it first transforms into tension and then into spasms, pains, or overstrain, leading to issues like insomnia and so on. And the third stage of this prana energy is not just overstraining the body, but it's destruction. What does destruction mean? It means heart attacks, strokes, joint deformities, spinal deformities, intestinal complications, severe functional disruptions, intestinal blockages, ruptures, and impairment of function, tubal obstruction. All of these are the third stage of tension. Well, you may ask, when does the third stage occur? When a person lacks prana energy for a long time. Chronic prana deficiency, a lack of nature's energy, leads to the third stage, overstrain. It's like a person suffocating, just as when there's not enough oxygen, a person dies in 7 minutes, but with a prana deficit, it takes longer. Because prana still exists in nature, it's present in the food we consume. However, the primary prana comes from the fresh air outside, which does exist inside apartments and houses, but in smaller amounts. About 10% compared to the outdoors. Remember, the first way of aging is tension, overstrain, and functional breakdown. Tension is when a person says, I feel, I'm tired, I can't relax, have trouble shifting attention, struggle to unwind. find it difficult to fall asleep, and I get nervous. This is called tension. The second stage is spasms or pain. You know what that is, right? And the third stage, no need to explain, right? Heart attack, stroke, seizures, death, right? Everyone understands what that is. Moving on, the next energy of the soul is called love. The energy of love in nature is called ojas, the energy of ojas. What is this energy? It's the energy of happiness, something pleasant. The energy of water, and to some extent the energy of the earth. The energy of water and earth these are the energies that provide peace and relaxation to a person. In water we find relaxation, and on the earth we find we relax. And I'll lie down at the edge of an old inn with my feet stretching into the distance. Let the fog envelop me. I'll rest on the porch even if the fog covers me. It feels so good on the ground, you understand? People love the energy of the earth. They love the energy of the earth, which means they will live long. They will live long because they understand the importance of love. They recharge their own battery. So there's the energy of water and the energy of the earth. When we lack them, it turns into toxins in the psychic body and excess weight in the physical body. These toxins later lead to a weakened immune system. Immune system disorders lead to chronic immune and autoimmune diseases of all sorts. When a person has excess weight, it's a sign of aging energy. This means that the person lacks the energy of ojas, which helps to shed excess weight. They lack this energy. The right energy of water in the body or the energy of the earth. Therefore, as a result, a person initially gains excess weight or toxins in the body. What are toxins? How do they look? It's like mucus, for example, you understand. Mucus in the body or some toxins in the blood. Excess weight, everyone knows what that is. You can even feel it on yourself. There's no need to explain. Toxins, excess weight, it's the same energy. In the second stage, excess weight turns into cysts and benign tumors. What does it mean to turn into? It means that excess weight energetically blocks the flow of energy, you understand? And when it's blocked more strongly, processes start developing that the body can't control. This is called benign tumors or cysts. And in the third stage, excess weight turns into malignant tumors. Some say malignant tumors are caused by various parasites. They're a parasite. It has developed a malignant tumor in my body. You are the parasite yourself because you're living incorrectly, accumulating excess weight first, then benign tumors, and finally malignant tumors. Can you imagine the injustice? A parasite entered my body. I'm living completely normally, but this parasite just came in and caused me to have a malignant tumor. Out of nowhere, you believe in this. These are just tales, you understand? Once again, where do parasites come from? They stem from your imbalances. These toxins at the second stage transform into immune system disruptions. And when the immunity is impaired, of course, they'll thrive in the body. Imagine, for instance, a factory with numerous spare parts and nobody's using them. Well, naturally, they'll get stolen. Parasites will come, take the spare parts and leave. Why? because the immunity at the factory is impaired, you understand? The parasite isn't to blame in this case. It's the security's fault. If they don't guard, theft will happen. Well, parasites too. We have plenty of things for them to feast on in the body. Well, they sort of feed on it there. And who's to blame? You're to blame yourselves. I'll tell you what you need to do to have a normal immune system in your body. Do you remember the 3 stages of development of this issue? And then the next issue, the energy of knowledge. If a person doesn't interact with nature, so this energy of knowledge is located in our body, or it's called tejas. Tejas is the energy of optimism. Now, for instance, ojas is the energy of calmness, relaxation, love, everything is good, la la la, tra la la. Women in general have a lot of ojas. Ojas gives beauty. Ojas is the energy of beauty. When a woman is very beautiful, it means she has a lot of ojas. In other words, there is a lot of energy of water and earth in her body. So she's beautiful. This energy of ojas radiates from her and relaxes you. When you look at her, she's like, ah, she has a lot of ojas. She's also relaxing, you understand? Now in men, the energy of knowledge has a different nature. It's called tejas, or the energy of knowledge. The energy of knowledge of the soul transforms into tejas in the mental body. Tejas, what is it? It's the energy of optimism, joy, fiery energy, not watery but fiery energy. Cheerfulness, like a burst of energy, such a masculine energy, la la la. Optimist, optimistic energy. Women like optimism. They think, oh, how nice, I wish I had that, because women lack optimism. They have a lot of ojas, which means kindness. But women lack optimism. So, this energy of tejas, if a person doesn't connect with nature, where does the energy of tejas come from in nature? It comes from the sun. If a person doesn't align themselves with sunny people, with the sun in nature, if, for example, you say, we have little sunshine, well, you have a reasonable amount of sunshine in Krasnoyarsk. There's no need to complain. Some cities, like St. Petersburg, hardly see any sun at all. Well, in that case, you need to align yourself with sunny people, love sunny people. So, in any case, you need to draw this tejas energy from somewhere. And if a person doesn't acquire tejas energy, then they enter the first stage of the development of the next, the third way of aging in the body. It's called body heat. So this energy of happiness and joy turns into heat. It's not underpinned by the happiness of nature and turns into heat. You see, in men, if the energy doesn't transform into happiness tejas, it turns into heat. They start feeling too hot to live comfortably. This is the first stage of aging. And women can experience this too, excessive bodily heat. Typically, in women, this heat transforms into emotionalism, sensitivity, easily taking offense, and allergies. In men, this can lead to anger, indigestion, weakness in the body, and disrupted sleep. When it's too hot, you see, people can't sleep. The second stage of the development of this heat condition is called inflammatory processes in the body. The fire within the body causes inflammation. During the second stage, various allergic diseases and allergies also appear. Second stage, food intolerances and allergies. On the third stage, this heat transforms into tissue damage. Excessive heat can lead to liver dystrophy, or the brain stops functioning properly, resulting in various mental disorders. An overheated person can't think clearly. They may experience hysteria, and psychosis can develop. Heat can also lead to bronchial asthma, a disease caused by excess heat in the body. Diabetes is a disease caused by excess heat in the body, typically in the third stage. Organ damage occurs. The Langerhans cells in the pancreas are affected. With asthma, the lungs and bronchial tubes are affected. High blood pressure also arises from excess heat in the body, you understand? Or it can also result from tension, causing an increase in blood pressure, severe weakness and digestive disorders. All of these are diseases of the third stage caused by excessive heat. It overwhelms the body and disrupts its functions. Kidney or liver dystrophy can occur, or any other organ. Doctors say, we don't know what's happening, it's just that the liver is shrinking in size. These doctors don't understand these energies. They only understand chemicals, bacteria, and vitamins. But they don't grasp the concept of energies. Most diseases primarily arise from energy, and that's why doctors don't know what to do. So, how do you treat a person they don't understand? Well, let's give them some pills. And these pills enter the body and say, everyone freeze. They basically stop all processes, you know? When the bad processes stop, it might seem easier to live. But the good ones also don't move during that time, so it's unclear whether it's good or bad, right? One thing seems to get better, but another falls apart. That's how we heal ourselves. But sometimes, of course, it's necessary. For example, modern medicine is good at treating infections. When you need to eliminate something, after all, it's easier to break than to make. They can eliminate effectively. Modern medicine also handles childbirth well. It's essential to make use of it when needed. It treats infections, performs surgeries effectively. You should make use of modern science for that. But if you want to stay healthy, live without surgeries, without infections, for this, you need to understand how to live a healthy life. You understand? The first thing you should understand is that you have to motivate yourself to live. Do you have to force yourself to sleep? No, you lie down and rest. Do you have to force yourself to eat? No. But it doesn't mean to live. Living means three things, remember this. These three things provide longevity, extend one's life, and tune the body to connect with the forces of nature. To ensure that everything is absorbed energetically well, there are just three things. The first thing is running. You might say, Oleg Gennadievich, not everyone can run like you. All right, then walk. Oleg Gennadievich, but not everyone can walk like you. Okay, then crawl. Oleg Gennadievich, not everyone can crawl like you. Fine, if you can't crawl, move your arms while lying down. Well, not everyone can move their arms. Well then, prepare to be buried. Because if a person doesn't move, it means they are already prepared. But if you can walk, then gradually start running. And if you're crawling, then stand up and walk like little children. They start by crawling, then they stand, then they walk, and eventually they run. You see, this is called the desire to live. You might say, I don't have time for running. Besides, they say on the internet that it damages your joints, and there's nowhere to run because you can't run on asphalt, and you can't run on uneven terrain. They're fooling you. They write all this so that you run on treadmills and buy them for your homes. That's all it is. It's advertising. Don't you know how it all works? So my friends, if you don't want to move, then prepare to be buried. All right? So the first type of longevity means movement. Later, I'll tell you how to move. The second type of longevity provides the opportunity for a person to live a long time. This is quite unclear. If movement is understandable, this is completely unclear. It's about the stillness of the body. You need to learn how to become still. It's called yoga, the stillness of the body. It's not just about people sitting still in India. We also have Orthodox Christians standing during services without moving. When I went to an Orthodox church for a night vigil, I asked, how can you stand all night? They told me the key is not to move. After a while, you'll feel lightness and you will be able to stand easily all night. But initially, endure it, don't move. I was taught this, I practiced yoga after all. So I stood still. Gradually, the lightness came after about 40-50 minutes. That's how I managed to stand. It extends life, you understand? Such immobile body positions extend life. And the third way to prolong life is called fasting. That's why in all spiritual traditions, people visit holy places, perform circumambulations of holy places, fast, and remain still during religious services. These three practices, these three types of austerities, if you undertake them, you will live a long life until you've had enough.
How do you know when you've had enough of life?
You'll understand. When you've had enough, you'll say, "Oh, my child, it's better not to live for so long." Naturally, we'll have songs during our lecture. Now, I'm going to tell you something interesting. To help you absorb the material, we will periodically include songs. Hypodynamia, you can't joke here, you can't joke here. If you bend once, you won't unbend, you won't unbend. Oh. Your last chance, fate gives you, so be braver, move forward. In heat, in rain, in snow. Your last chance, fate gives you, long live walking and daily running. Where does the pain in your lower back come from? I'll explain it now. This tension that accumulates in the body, it always descends downward. That's why the first signs of tension are constipation, the intestines protruding to get some fresh air outside. Veins, when they become swollen. This is also a sign of tension in the legs. And lower back pain. These are all signs that old age has come to visit you. Even if you are young, it doesn't matter. It doesn't ask for permission. If a person doesn't want to live correctly, then all of this will manifest in their life. And it's different for everyone. Some have swollen veins, some have intestinal issues, some have lower back pain, and for others, it's their legs, knees, or shins that hurt. This is all a result of aging. Do you understand? And now the tension in the body. How do you treat this tension? People often say to me, you should do massages, heat treatments, steam baths. If not steam, then funeral service. This is a passive method. Now I'll tell you about an active method. It's to eliminate any tension in your body. You might ask, Oleg Gennadievich, does it also relieve migraines? Yes, it does relieve migraines. To eliminate any tension in your body, you need to do just two things. The first thing is prolonged continuous movement. And the second thing is maintaining a still body position. That's it. If you do these two things simultaneously, not at the same, but in the course of your life, it will ultimately relax you. You understand? Now, let me unveil the secret of this longevity technique. Because some people say that to live long, you need to breathe through a straw. So, if you don't breathe through a straw, you won't live long. You must breathe through a straw. But the person who invented this method didn't live long, even though he practiced it, you understand? It's all fiction. There is the sacred scripture that tells us what to do. Why don't we read it or listen to it? So listen to me. You see, a person has 4 energy layers in the body and 1 protective layer. That makes a total of 5 layers. one protective layer. It safeguards the body, and 4 energy layers. What are these energy layers? The first energy layer is responsible for the skin, subcutaneous tissue, lymphatic vessels, and mucous membranes in the body, the mucous membrane of the stomach and intestines. And the first energy layer is responsible for all of this. Have you remembered that? And in children, it is affected first. How does aging affect children? They don't have aging inside, but they do on the outside. So why do children get sick? Their skin hurts, mucous membranes. They constantly have various issues there: constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, colds. In other words, their mucous membranes get affected. This is what children suffer from, mainly their skin and mucous membranes. That's it, those are their primary illnesses. So remember, you should always run with a light jog. Light means when it feels pleasant for you to run, you might run slower than someone else walks. Maybe you'll run slower than someone walks, and that's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. The main thing is that you run in a way that you don't get out of breath, that you feel good and relaxed. If you run calmly and well, you'll say about a bicycle, it won't do, and walking with sticks won't do, and even walking won't do. Run. But I can't run. Well, then walk. Can't even walk. Then at least crawl. You see, I can't. I've already told you. But if you can, then run. And I don't like it. But here nobody asks, and nobody likes dying either. You understand? Well, you need to run. How to run? However you can, carefully. Women run in little steps like ducklings, like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. How to run? However you can. If your body is lazy, heavy, feminine, well, run however you can. But run. Death doesn't ask whether you're a woman or a man. Cough in the room. Exactly. So if you run, everyone is holding their breath. If you run for 20 minutes, nothing will be cleansed in your body, but at least you'll have the strength to live. Because your mental protective structure is being cleansed. Plus, you'll have a good tone, a good mood, you'll feel great, but there won't be any longevity. The body won't be cleansed, but that's already good. I started with just 5 minutes of running. At first, I couldn't even run 500 meters. That was over 3.5 years ago. The day before yesterday, I ran 17 kilometers and felt fine. Not a single ache. I ran for nearly 2 hours without any pain, and everything was great. I'm just telling you about my life so that you don't think I'm making something up. I'll tell you in more detail later how I studied all this on myself. So, if you run for 40 minutes, your first energy cylinder starts to cleanse. For instance, if you have skin diseases, inflamed mucous membranes, a stomach ulcer, swollen lymph nodes, or chronic leg inflammation, and so on. It doesn't matter what you have, like skin pains or allergies. If you run for 40 minutes over time, your illness will heal, but you also need to learn not to move for 40 minutes. Because if you don't move for 20 minutes, you're just activating your body. If you don't move for 40 minutes, you're breaking through and clearing the first energy cylinder. How do these cylinders get cleared? So, let's say you start running and run for 40 minutes, but you've been having frequent colds which affect your mucous membranes. You see, after running for 40 minutes for the first time, the next day, your cough becomes more pronounced. And you might think, Oleg Gennadievich is deceiving me. I'm feeling worse from his recommendations. Let me explain why. When you are running, during that time when a person is running, the energy of nature is absorbed into their body. But when you stop running, the energy isn't absorbed. When you were running, healing processes were immediately activated in your body. When you stop running, your body lacks the energy to heal, and that's when the exacerbation begins. When this exacerbation subsides, you start running again, and after running, there will be a slight exacerbation again. This will last for several weeks. Afterward, everything will clear, and you'll never have a cold again. You understand? But if you stop running after some time, it will reappear because the body ages. Got it? Now, let's continue. So remember, the first cylinder involves mucous membranes and skin. Run for 40 minutes. You might say, but what if I run slowly? It doesn't matter how you run. Run for 40 minutes and the first cylinder clears. How do you determine this? You determine it like this. When a person runs for 15-20 minutes, they suddenly experience their second wind. What does that mean? It's as if they haven't been running. They feel light and good. This means that the protective basis in a person, primarily related to their ability to withstand life's challenges, has been cleansed. For instance, if a person's energetic protective basis is overloaded, they can't stand other people, can't be in certain situations, or can't sleep in the presence of others. That means they have issues with their body's defense system. They run for 20 minutes. The issue with their defense system disappears and they can live a normal life. Moving on. The first layer is associated with the skin and mucous membranes. There are a total of 4 layers. The second layer, energetically, is connected to the blood vessels, muscles, and all bones except the spine. It's linked to the musculoskeletal and vascular systems of the body, are the second energetic layer. When a person runs for an hour, they have a guarantee that they won't suffer from atherosclerosis, hypertension, or die from a heart attack or stroke. It's a guarantee. You understand? But at the same time, they must also learn to remain in a stationary body position, even if it's just standing still or sitting. Because if a person only engages in dynamic physical activity, static tension accumulates in the body. And if they never move, dynamic tension accumulates. I've been practicing yoga my whole life since I was 12. Somewhere around the age of 50, I felt that tension was still building up in my body. I thought, why? I've been doing yoga. Then, when I ran from one terminal to another at the airport, I almost ran out of breath. I realized that I had some serious health issues. I couldn't even run anymore. Seriously, even though I had practiced yoga and fasting all my life before this. I started running then. I began with very little, slowly at first. When a person starts running, the most important thing is not to overdo it. It means you run as much as you like, no rush. You're already starting to survive. You're not dying anymore. You're recovering, surviving. Don't rush it. Time will come. There's plenty of time. Everything happens fast enough. So at first I ran 500 meters every day. Then I gradually increased it to 3 kilometers every day. And when it became more, I started running every other day. When I reached 6-7 kilometers, I ran every 2 days. And when it was 9 to 10 kilometers, I ran every 3 days. And when I reached 12-13 kilometers, I ran every 4 days. Now I run 16-17 kilometers every 6 days. This distance clears all the mental cylinders. No need to run more. That's it. It takes approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes. So the third mental cylinder is associated with all the internal organs. This includes the kidneys, liver, thyroid gland. If you have cysts in your liver, kidneys or breast, for example, it means you need to extend the distance to 1 hour and 20 minutes of running. If you have visceral fat around your organs or subcutaneous fat, it will start to dissolve after an hour of running. So you run for 1 hour, and there you go, the fat begins to melt, subcutaneous fat. But sometimes there's no fat in the subcutaneous tissue, yet a person still feels like they're somewhat overweight, big. This means fat in the mesentery, in the intestines. And this fat melts away when a person runs for 1 hour and 20 minutes. It also disappears, burns off. You see, if you start clearing more mental cylinders, for example, through running, it's not necessary to do yoga for 1 hour and 20 minutes in complete stillness. An hour or maybe even 40 minutes is enough. But you only need to perform one type of austerities for all 4 mental cylinders. The others can be done for a shorter duration. For instance, I run for all 4 mental cylinders, do yoga for 2 and fast for 1. That's sufficient for me. Someone else might fast for all 4 cylinders while running for only 1 cylinder. Well, it varies from person to person. It all depends on what troubles you. I will now explain to you which diseases can be treated with what. So you see, you run with a light jog. The first time it becomes easy to breathe, it means the body has started the purification process. You run for approximately 40 minutes, and it varies slightly for everyone. The second time it becomes easy to breathe, it means the first mental cylinder has been cleansed. You run for an hour. The third time it becomes easy to breathe, it means the second mental cylinder has been cleansed. You've run for an hour and 20 minutes. The fourth time it becomes easy to breathe. It means your liver will be healthy, the pancreas will be healthy, and the intestines will eventually become healthy. Over time, your heart will become healthy too. Not immediately. It all starts to heal first. You've simply infused energy into those areas, and how long it takes to heal, nobody knows. As many illnesses as you have, that's how long you'll need to heal. After running for an hour and 40 minutes, the 5th time the ease in breathing appears, and now you can relax. When a person runs 16-17 kilometers, approximately, or let's judge by time, it's better to run for about 1 hour and 40 minutes, maybe 1 hour and 50 minutes. It extends your active lifespan by about 22 years. This is what I've been telling you, what I see in myself. You see, my active lifespan is 64 years. After 64 years, my body begins to age actively. But if I keep running as I do, it will certainly age, but not as actively anymore. And only when I'm 86 years old will rapid aging start in my body. But I think I'm okay with that, I don't mind. So what I felt in my life when I started running like this. By the way, the last psychological cylinder is responsible for the nervous system, and if a person has a mental illness, severe depression, if their memory is suffering, if they have deep mental issues, then they need to extend their running to about 1 hour and 40 minutes, and they will cure the mental illness. You see, if it's schizophrenia, it's already considered incurable. I disagree with that. If a person runs for 1 hour and 40 minutes to 1 hour and 50 minutes, their mind relaxes, and they get rid of the mental illness. Similarly, if a child is autistic, then as they grow older and are able to run this much, they will cure their autism in the same way. Because autism signifies tension, the first type of aging. Autism, cerebral palsy, CP, it's simply tension in most children. About 10% it's overheating. Excess weight doesn't cause these conditions in these children. These are developmental disorders. So what did I feel? I'll tell you. When I used to run around 6-7 kilometers, I didn't feel anything special. I just felt that it was challenging for me to run. I felt like I might not be able to run more. I didn't believe at all that I could run more than 4 or 5 kilometers in my life. I thought that was the maximum I could do. But as I kept running, gradually I could do more and more. And when I started running around 5.5 kilometers, when my first psychic cylinder cleared, I began to notice that I was losing weight. I had excess weight, which I didn't need, and it was burdensome for me. I started losing subcutaneous fat. And from that point, around 5.5 kilometers, my joints started to ache. My friends immediately told me, "You see, your joints are wearing out, so you should walk with sticks instead of running." I tried walking with sticks. The detoxification process in the body was happening about twice as slowly.